Well, hello everyone. Welcome to my shop. Today we're going to build us a crosscut sled for my table saw where you make accurate, safe cuts. Stick with me and I'll show you how we're going to do it. Quarter. And I actually made this. I had something come up that was real odd, but I needed one this big. But you can put smaller stuff on it, but wrestling this thing out is well, I guess I need to work out, if you know what I mean. So this is my Behemoth table saw sled. So the other sled I have, this was made quite some time ago. I had a bunch of little parts to do. This thing is 18 inches by 12 3/4. The capacity is 10 3/4. Yep, 10 3/4. But for little small parts, if you had some little parts to do, it's the berries. However, with your projects, the thing about it is, it doesn't take much to outgrow this thing. However, with Behemoth right there, it'll handle it. But what I thought about doing is this is the last in the shop here. This is the last piece of half-inch plywood that I have. In other words, without being just little bitty offcuts. In other words, I gotta go to the store. Well, I thought, well, if I had a 30 inches by 18 3/4, it's just what happened it to be. I thought, well, if I had a sled like that, I bet you I will use this most of the time. So what I do have some 3/4 that I cut this off of. I hadn't glued it together, but I have a front fence, which I'll have to cut down to size, and a back fence that I can put right here. And of course, this will need to be squared up to your saw blade. And I'm gonna go and glue them together, then I can cut them down to size. So this is what I thought about doing. See the side, I'll cut that front fence because it's just something there to hold the sled together. But I have the runners. I'm gonna try something a little different today. I don't know if y'all seen this, I've been cutting on this. This is the cutting boards, HDPE cutting boards. Well, you don't have to worry about expansion and contraction with this thing. So what I done, instead of cutting, well, tell you the truth, I looked around, I got pieces, offcuts everywhere. Like, see, the grain, you gotta have that grain running straight across so the expansion and contraction won't block you. In other words, you'll come out here one day and if the grain's running the wrong way, and your sled will be loose, and then the next week you come out here, you can't even get them in the runners, especially weather around here. But if you get the grain running this way, like quarter saw, and get it in there, the expansion and contraction will be up and down. As long as you leave enough room from the bottom of the miter to the runner, it'll just expand and contract this way, and it'll stay tight this way. But I could not find any. I found one little piece, but it had already been cut too narrow. So I thought about, well, I'll just go back to these HDPE HDPE. Yeah, polyurethane, high density polyurethane, HDPE. Yeah. Well, now we got that out of the way. And what I thought about, usually I just take me some washers or some change. Well, I didn't have any change. Couldn't find any washers small enough, so I got me a couple strips I found. And that's what I'm going to hold it where it stays above the deck here. I've already drilled holes, I even tapered them to ensure that the screws go below the bottom. But I did cut them to where they're below the deck. So I had to have some strips or something. So I decided I'd cut them strips. That way I got even pressure when I lay this thing on here. It'll have even pressure. And I'm going to take me some CA glue and fix it to where it'll stay on it. And when I flip it over, then I can put the screws in it. On this one, and it works fine when you do it that way. I did that and went through the top with the screws, and they work fine doing it that way. I never know. It gives you an idea where your runners are. But on that, the Behemoth, I didn't. So what I'm going to do first, being so I've got this cut the size I want, I'm going to go ahead and glue that thing in. Then we'll glue the fence up. And normally what I do, the fence up here, you know, it's not critical. Like I say, it's just there to hold it, keep them separating. But the fence back here, I usually get that 4 foot level and clamp it to that 4 foot level and try to it'll set up as straight as possible. So I tell you, I got the stuff right here. We'll just go ahead and see if we can't make this thing happen. All right, if you remember, I'm 30 inches. So I'm gonna bring this thing down to about 15. So actually, I'll tell you what I do need to do. So I know where I'm gonna be. I'm gonna mark the runners up. So what I can do, I can mark this off. That way, when I spray, I'll spray the activator on this, and that way I don't want to miss. This way you won't be missing. Okay. Now, what we can do, now that I got that, yep, there we go. So what I want to do, double check that. Yep. So let's go to the CA glue. You want to? Oh, it's cold this morning. I don't know if that thing is working or not. That thing is set up. Well, let me go get some more. That thing is set up. Daggum. Well, how about that? That was medium, and that dude is set up. But this right here, I don't think it's set up. Let's see if we can't get it to come out. Well, it ain't no better. But it's coming. It's kind of cool this morning. That thing is showing it. Well, dang. How about that? Oh, here it comes. Well, I said it was. Wow. We got to figure something else out, ain't we? Yeah, that ain't gonna work. Let me go see if I can't figure something else out. Well, I got some real thin, but I don't want to use here. It'll run everywhere. So what I want to do, the double-sided tape is back out. So, yeah, so we're going to double-sided tape to it. Double-side tape it to it. All right. Okay. We just need something for it to hold until, oh, look here. Something for it to hold until the we can get her screwed in. Okay. Let's see if we can't get that thing to ease out of there without coming loose. Sure did. So now we'll get us some screws. I'm gonna make sure it won't. Okay. Let's see if we can get these in there. Okay. Let's see how that is. It ain't bad. I think time I put the time I put the wax on it, that should be fine. There is no side to side movement to it. So let's glue our fences up and then, yeah, let's glue the fences up. So what I plan on doing, we're gonna go ahead and glue this thing up. So, because it's kind of a suction right there. We'll go ahead and get this other and we'll be ready to go. Okay, what I'll do now to help hold it straight, I got this level. I'm gonna put it right in the middle and we will hold this thing straight. There. So we will set that right there. We'll let that set up and we'll come back we'll deal with it. Square it up. I made it a little wider than I was really shooting for. I got it 4 inches. If I can make it down to 3.5, I'll be okay. It's just a tick long, so therefore, you know, I have plenty of room to get her squared up and ready to go. Let's go ahead and take her out of the clamps. Let's see what we got. We're gonna go to the joiner and straighten up one edge. Get it straight. We'll go to the table saw and get the opposing edge, get them parallel, get them smooth and straight. Then we'll go and get the Behemoth table saw sled out and get the ends all squared away and at a 90 and get it cut the proper length. And then for the opposing end that's there just to hold the table saw together, I'm gonna cut a couple 45s and kind of make her decorative looking. It don't need to run all the way across anyway. And then this step I always forget. I cut a chamfer for sawdust that you work up against it. It'll mash the sawdust up in this chamfer and it won't throw it off. So I just want to cover that chamfer. What I did, I just took the blade and put it at a 45 and cut a chamfer on that thing. So when you have something to cut, it'll have a place to push the sawdust where it won't interfere with registering against your fence. The worst thing in the world is debris. If you're not careful, the debris will throw you off, and that is what the chamfer is for. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna go ahead and mount this fence right here. Like I say, it's just to hold the fence together. So to make it easy to work, I marked right there where the blade's gonna hit. So we can come over here and line this thing up. So I got it marked right there. There's the center, and there's where I'm gonna put the screw and put 3 on each side. But I want to stay away from here because naturally the blade, you don't want to be cutting through them screws. So I'll flip it around so I can pull it right off the back side here. We'll put that there for some weight. And what I can do, I can take and we can line up where them screws are not going to be and clamp this to the sled. Yeah, right there. And now we will just what we're going to do now, we're going to go ahead and raise the blade up, make a curve, and try to saw it to somewhere within 2 or 3 inches. And that way we'll put a square up here and we'll have something to line this thing up with. So what we can do, we can line this thing up. And what I want to do, we'll put one screw right here. That way we can pivot and get it straight. So we're going to need that screw right there. All right, we flipped it upside down. So our pivot screw is going to be right here. Okay, I ain't gonna put it in super tight. I do want it to kind of move her a little bit. Saw blade, I went ahead and raised it up. You gotta make sure you're not on a tooth. You gotta be between tooths so you can get an even reference off that blade. Also, now right here, you see where there's the gap. You wanna make sure you're against the blade all the time. And I like to do it like this and move myself forward to the square touches along the blade and the fence. Okay, so that's got the fence squared to the blade. We just need to get us a screw in it to lock it in. So I'm kind of going to have to do the same thing I've already did without moving anything. What we want to do, we'll go ahead and okay, I put another on it just to, all right. Now we don't want it to move. We'll check it and see what we got. As a double check before we go any further, let's go ahead and see if it's still showing to be a square. Make sure it's not hitting a tooth. We are right against it. Okay, now that's showing it didn't move, so I'm gonna go ahead and take and do a curve, a saw curve all the way through. Then I'll find me a board and we'll do the 5-cut method just to make sure we're there. I don't know if y'all familiar with the 5-cut method. It's where you get 4 sides to a rectangle. In my case, you do a square. But what you do, I mark the first one. That's your first one. This will be the reference side. And ideally, the way to do this thing, you'll go around 4 times, multiplying the error by 4 times. In other words, we will make this cut, take what you cut against the fence, and so on like that. And the 5-cut method is when you come back to make the 5th cut, you'll make something, you know, about 1 inch wide where you can measure off each side. And that will give you an error 4 times. So what we're going to do is go ahead and cut each side. Just take a sliver off, and time we make it back to the starting point, we'll cut something about 1 inch wide to do our measuring with. Okay, I cut it and left it laying right there, so we got to identify. I'm going to call that the front, and this is the back. So this is the front, and my pencil ain't writing. And this is the back. Oh, yep, that ain't working. All right, let's check, make sure I'm on 0. All right, so what I need to do here, I like to lay it flat down, that way, you know. Okay, I am looking at 0.802. 0.802. 0.802. Now let's see what we got here. 0.836. 0.836. Okay. So we are at the front, 0.802, the back, 0.836. So what I do, 802, 0.836, and you subtract them. We'll just carry a total as we go. 0.802 subtract 0.836. That's a negative 34 thousandths. And what that means is the fence has got to go back. So we're going to drop the negative. We just know the fence has got to go back. You figure a clock. This way is positive and this way is negative. So we'll drop that for our figuring purposes. But if you remember, we had 4 cuts to come up with that. So we will need to divide that by 4. And that gives you, that right there is per side. So what we need to do to figure this per inch, so we'll put it on the fence, then you'll know how to multiply per, it's got to be per inch, because you'll divide this and get it per inch, and then you multiply it by this to get a total of inches of your fence. I'll show you what I mean here. That is 8 3/4. So we're gonna divide that by 8 3/4. Divide by 8.75. And that gives you 1, 2, 3. It is 3 of them. 9, 7, 1, 4, 2, 8, 5, 7, 1. Okay, 10 100,000, 9 10,000ths of an inch. Doesn't sound like much, but let's think about this. I got a mark right here where I'm gonna put we'll do my measuring with, and also got a mark right on the other side here where the pivot point is. In other words, this is where I'm gonna put my gauge. This is where I got the screw where it pivots. I need to know that distance. That is 27 3/4. And what that distance means, the reason why we gotta have it, if we do our measuring right here, we need to know how many inches is this, because this is how far it's off per inch. So we multiply this by 27 3/4. 27 3/4. All right. This fence needs to go back 10 100,000. 20, well, 9 5 7, so that'd be 27 thousandths. That's where I'm going to move it back. At this point right here, I got to move it back 27 thousandths. So basically what we got to do, that point right there, I'm going to lock that down and save that right there. Now we got to get that screw out of there. And when we go back, the screw's got to be somewhere else. Got to be a new place. We can't, I'm going to mark that. We can't use that anymore. Okay. Okay, everything's looking fine. It's just I've got to get that back 27 thousandths. My feeler gauges, they've seen better days. I might have to confirm what I'm looking at. That's 25 thousandths. That's 28,000. 27,000. All right, so this one is 27 thousandths. So basically what I do, I gotta get my clamp. I want to open that up, and I am going to slide this feeler gauge in that single point of reference right there. I put this feeler gauge, push it up there to it, and then we'll lock this thing down. Now, and it must have moved. It needs to be pretty snug. Okay. Okay, I got a drag there now. Now, I need to get that screw back in there. Now I'm going to take the pull here, and we're going to do that process again just to see how we done. I've never had to do it twice. I mean, adjust the fence twice. And while I'm at it, I'm going to mark that one hole. Okay, now I know not to fool with that one ever again. So let's go ahead and make our 5-cut method here. Okay, let's see what we got now. Okay, we've got 0.658. 0.658. 0.658. And that was the front, by the way. Back. Right here. Okay. 0.656. 0.656. 2 thousandths off. I'll tell you what, let's do. That's going to be good enough. But let's try something. Let me make another cut right here. Yeah, let's just make another cut, fresh cut here. Then we'll set it up to the light and put a good square on it. This is the true test right here. And I think that's square enough, don't you? Yeah, that's good enough for me. So the only thing left now to do is get the rest of the screws and get them screwed into the fence where it won't be a moving on us. Now, the only other thing that I might do is go ahead and put me a piece of, and I will do that. I'm gonna find me some scraps and make me something here. If nothing else, what it helps you is when you grab a hold of it, your thumbs hit that, and it reminds you again that there's a blade coming back here. Pay attention. But I will do that. Me, I like them simple. I'll come off here and I'll use my fence as a stop block. Or I've got stop blocks right here. So I got the little chamfer right there, keep dust from getting on it. I'll put it right there and put it wherever I need it. Simple. A lot of times I can take a alligator clamp and do what I need to do. Alligator clamp, squeeze clamps. You know, that way. But you know, you can take this little fella right here and put it where you need it. You know, so the stop block's no big deal. So, well, that's gonna do me for this one. I appreciate y'all hanging in here. I hope you learned something. But putting it up there with the square against your blade, you'll be wondering why your dovetails is not coming out like you want them to, because that's where that little bit, as you go around a drawer, that distance, and you're off just a little here, just a little there. If you ever had any drawers that would not set flat down, that's why. You gotta have them ends square. Because when you cut down, you're marking with your gauge off the end. It's got to be square. It's got to be not off a little bit. It's got to be square, or them drawers won't sit down flat. They'll rock a little bit. That's why they're rocking. But that's why I will use this sled a whole lot more than that one, because most of my stuff will fit in this one. But every once in a while, you get an odd shape, something right there you gotta get taped down, and that's why I built that one. Now that I got them, handy to have. Crosscut, because the little miter gauges that come with saws, buddy, they don't get it done. Plus, if your work, little safety tip, if your work is moving, it ain't sliding across the table, you're gonna be safer and more accurate. So, hope this helped. Appreciate you watching. Until next time, y'all be safe, and I'll catch you on the next one.